The students watched in horror as monsters emerged from the gate. The hunters, though thrilled by the scent of flesh and blood, held back their bloodlust. They knew these two were merely scouts, and the mission took priority. One of the creatures caught the scent of humans inside a nearby building and informed his companion. He remarked on the building's complex structure, comparing it to a castle. Then, with a wicked grin, he instructed the other to summon their brothers, declaring his intent to begin the slaughter. They would massacre every human inside and fortify their position before launching a full-scale hunt. As the beast stepped out of the room, it immediately spotted a few students. Before they could even react, it was already upon them. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo had arrived at the site, standing before the massive gate. He quietly noted how much bigger it looked in person. Surveying the area, he noticed the various teams present: the mining crew, the collection squad, 13 A-rank hunters, and 20 B-rank hunters. Impressed, Jin-Woo thought to himself how fitting it was for the guild with the most A-rank members to mobilize such force. While he was lost in thought, a swarm of hunters gathered around him. Curious and eager, they bombarded him with questions, wanting to know about his powers and whether he would be leading the raid. The unexpected attention left Jin-Woo puzzled. Fortunately, Young Yerim intervened, stopping the flood of questions. She introduced herself as an A-rank healer from the Night Guild's assault team and helped ease the tension. Jin-Woo then noticed Park Jong-soo standing behind him. Park stepped forward and told Jin-Woo he would now explain everything to the team. He also announced that he would be leading the raid. This sparked immediate pushback from the guild members. "Shouldn't Jin-Woo lead since he's S-rank?" one of them asked. Park responded calmly, stating that Jin-Woo would be covering the rear to ensure their safety. Some took offense to the implication, asking if Park thought they were too weak to handle things on their own. Park then turned to Jin-Woo and apologized, explaining that while his words might have sounded harsh, this kind of atmosphere was normal for their group. Jin-Woo, unfazed, replied that it only showed how confident they were. With the air cleared, the group began their march into the dungeon. Back at the Hunters Association Emergency Call Center, a phone operator received a distressed call. On the other end, a frightened girl explained that monsters had broken into her school. There had been a dungeon break. When asked for her location, the girl whispered that she was hiding in a bathroom. Voice shaking, she recounted what had happened. She and her friend were together when monsters suddenly appeared and began slaughtering everyone. Upon hearing the girl's terrified voice, the operator quickly assured her that hunters were already on their way. She tried to calm the girl down and asked if she could identify the type of monsters she had seen. The girl replied shakily, saying they looked like the ones she had seen on TV, green-skinned creatures. The operator froze. Her voice dropped as she warned the girl to escape immediately. "Those were orcs," she said, "and they could sniff out prey from a distance." But it was already too late. An orc had found the girl. The operator listened in horror as the girl screamed for help, her cries abruptly cut off. Back at the school, chaos had taken full hold. Students bolted from the building while the orcs ruthlessly hunted down those still trapped inside. The monsters grumbled about losing half their prey, but one of them reassured the others that plenty of humans were still left. Confidently, they mentioned that they had blocked the escape route and now planned to move up to the next floor to wipe out the rest. Inside one of the classrooms, a group of students had barricaded themselves using desks and chairs, hoping to buy time. But it was pointless. An orc smashed through the door with ease. As the terrified students watched the blood-soaked creature step into the room, panic set in. One of them made a desperate dash toward the window, hoping to slip past unnoticed, while the orc focused on the others. But just as he neared the window, two glowing red eyes locked onto him. Before he could react, an axe cleaved through the air, straight for his head. In an instant, he was gone, and more orcs began closing in on the classroom. One of the orcs suddenly paused, sniffing the air. He sensed a student with magical energy and informed the leader. Without hesitation, the leader barked the order: "Kill her first." At the back of the room, trembling and wide-eyed, Gina stood frozen in fear. Her voice cracked as she called out for her brother. He saw there was no way out and told Gina that even though he was just an E rank, he was still an awakened hunter and was ready to fight. Gina tried to stop him as a group of orcs came closer. One of the orcs asked if that was the human they were looking for, but another one looked at Gina and said something felt stronger near her. It swung its axe at her, saying the strong smell was coming from that girl and she needed to die. Both girls shut their eyes, expecting the worst. But when Gina opened hers, a high orc stood in front of her, blocking the attack. She realized her brother had placed this shadow soldier nearby to protect her. The high orc threw the attacking orc so hard it flew up through the ceiling, shocking all the other monsters in the room. As three big orcs surrounded Gina, the story shifted back to Jin-Woo and the Knights Guild, who had just entered the dungeon. Park Jong-soo yelled for everyone to watch out. It was an ogre. A huge, two-headed monster was standing right in front of them. It swung its weapon, but Park used his power to make a shield in front of him. The ogre hit the shield hard, but it didn't break. Park gave the signal to Yoon-tae, who ran up the monster's axe and stabbed its eyes, blinding it. He told the others to attack now, and all the hunters rushed in, slashing and using magic. The mages burned the thing down completely. After it was done, Park told the team to take a moment and regroup. He told Jin-Woo that things weren't looking good, and that he didn't expect to fight a twin-headed ogre right away. He asked Jin-Woo if he knew what else those ogres were called, and Jin-Woo said they were called gravekeepers. That meant there were probably undead monsters waiting ahead. Jong Yoon-tae joked that Park jinxed them and asked if they should attack, but the undead weren't moving. They were just staring at them. The hunters got nervous because undead usually rush in as soon as they see people. Something felt off. Jin-Woo, thinking this dungeon was supposed to be tough, suddenly felt something strange. He told Park he had to leave because something urgent had come up. Park tried to stop him, saying the group would be in danger without him. But Jin-Woo said he'd call someone just as strong to take over. Then Beru appeared, the ant monster from the Jeju Island raid. The hunters were shocked. Jin-Woo told them Beru would take care of them and the monsters from now on. He told Beru to protect the humans and do whatever he wanted with the enemies. Beru let out a loud screech and jumped into the fight, killing all the monsters in the area while the hunters watched in disbelief. After the fight, Jin-Woo said the shadow monsters would now help them. 20 of them were more than enough for the rest of the dungeon. He turned to leave, but someone asked if he was really going to go after releasing so many shadows. Jin-Woo, clearly annoyed, said he could dismiss them if they really wanted, but that wouldn't help. The hunters got scared and backed off. Jin-Woo checked the cooldown for shadow exchange. It still had an hour and 42 minutes left, so he ran toward the dungeon exit. Park Jong-soo couldn't believe he just left like that during a raid. While running, Jin-Woo kept getting signals from the shadow soldiers he had left with Gina. Something felt wrong. He suddenly saw a bunch of undead in his path. Angry, he told them to move. To his surprise, all the undead got on their knees and made way for him. He wondered if it was because he was a high-level necromancer who could control them. But he didn't waste time thinking about it. He jumped over them, called out to Kaisel, and flew off through the gate. The people watching got excited when they saw the flying wyvern. They knew it was Jin-Woo's summon. Jin-Woo told Kaisel to take him to his sister as fast as possible and used his skill to boost Kaisel's speed by 50%, pushing it to fly even faster. As a much cooler version of Daenerys Targaryen, Jin-Woo yells at his dragon to take him to his sister. The dragon roars in compliance, its gigantic shadowy wings flapping against the hard rain. Meanwhile, back in the classroom, one of the orcs is slit in half effortlessly. The Shadow Orc army makes quick work of their weaker, inferior versions. All of the students look at them with gaping mouths. Another orc is grabbed by the skull, and no matter how much they scream, it's of no use as they are bashed against the cobblestone. The Shadow Orcs make quick work of the imposters, and everyone is in a daze, wondering if the monsters are trying to save them, and why are they protecting them. The leader of the Shadow Orcs smiles. Gina looks around for her brother, wondering if he is here, but the Orc King puts his hand in front of her, pointing in a direction. Space and time start to warp around the space he is pointing at. All of a sudden, a crack appears, and a throne room is visible on the bony throne at the center. An Orc King is sitting comfortably. He introduces himself as chief of the Red Blade tribe, saying that nothing will stop him now. His little henchman explains that a group of high orc warriors are helping the humans. This surprises the leader as he wonders why and how many. He yells in a fit of fury, "How can their great orcs not take care of 3 high orcs?" He grabs his sword, ready to lead the charge, as it is time to slaughter them. Meanwhile, in a cracked corridor, numerous shadow ants are crawling about, screeching loudly. As the hunters look at the ants in horror, their PTSD flares up, wondering what if they become hostile. The young healer wonders what should they do, but the boss refuses to throw the towel yet. If they quit, the reporters will have a field day outside. He tries to steel his nerves, refusing to give up just because of a few summoned beasts. However, when he comes face to face with Beru, standing in front of him, all in his shadowy glory, his face turns as pale as spoiled milk. He tries to play it cool, telling everyone to go. Beru, on the other hand, is silent. As the boss sweats extensively, he wonders if they can go. Beru disappears in a column of mist, reappearing right next to the boss, who curses. Then Beru throws something at his feet, standing tall and high, and telling its soldiers something before turning to leave. They look at their boss, wondering if he's okay. Are they really going to let the guys in front lead the charge? However, boss tries to catch his breath, looking at the thing thrown at his foot. It's the head of a Death Knight, the one that killed hunters in the past but has now been slaughtered in a matter of seconds. Immediately, boss smirks as he can't believe how strong the shadow is. He looks around, telling everyone that high-ranking beasts are known to drop valuable loot. Does anyone want to back up? Ushered by their greed, they're ready to move forward, telling their boss to not lag behind. Meanwhile, the shadow orc receives a slash from its arm. He faces the orc leader, as all of the underlings cheer for Groktar in their guttural language. The orc leader stands at 7 feet, telling him that orc tattoos symbolize victories in battle, proving how many foes have fallen before them, and the numerous tattoos on its arms claim that he's undefeated, like Khal Drogo. The shadow orc, on the other hand, refuses to give up, wondering if this is all they're capable of. The great orc tells them to come on. He wants to have an interesting fight, but the high orcs refuse to give up. He's using amazing teamwork to fight, and they block his sword with their bare hands. This infuriates the leader, who struggles against the grip, yelling out it's not strong enough. He shreds the orcs into ribbons, but instead of dropping dead, they reform, because that's what shadows do. This further confuses the gigantic idiot, realizing that they're under a spell. It's no use to slice them. He starts to overthink it a bit, that even though he can kill them over and over again, it's getting hard. A voice vibrates in his thick skull, telling him to kill the humans. He realizes that he must finish it if they're being controlled by a spell, then all he has to do is get rid of the sorcerer. He looks around at the girl, wondering if she is the source of his fury. Realizing that the orcs are powerless as they regenerate, he tells his lackeys to keep attacking, bombarding them with swords and sticks, stabbing them over and over again. The leader, on the other hand, refuses to give up. Her classmates tell Gina to watch out, but she's grabbed by the mouth. The leader wonders if it's all a ploy. He can clearly sense magical powers coming from her. Her face turns pale, and her eyes start to blank out, as the Orc King dooms her to certain death. Meanwhile, through the rain, a dark figure flies at a breakneck speed. The shapes get closer and closer, instilling fear into the Orc King and causing him to drop Gina. It grows bigger and bigger. Gina's friend asks if she is okay, but the Orc King is too afraid. He needs a new pair of pants, as something terrifying is headed his way. Darkness incarnate. He tells his soldiers to retreat immediately, but a blast cuts off their retreat. Through the smoke and rubble, a kind hand pats Gina on her head, telling her that she is safe. It's Big Daddy Jin-Woo? The Orc King is not so smug anymore. Fearing for his life, he looks at the Shadow Dragon, standing beside Jin-Woo, who is seething with rage and darkness. He tries to introduce himself, hoping to get on the right foot. Jin-Woo, the other hand, tells him to save it and wait for his judgment.